what do you call that, Han?
Hair.
Hinapay?
Hair, darling. It's called hair.
No, the new hinapay. The
Tinapay?
new hinapay.
Isn't tinapay bread?
Like this one, for example, this is the way you like that. How do you say English of that? There's a new outlook.
Hairline?
Yeah, hairline. So this is my new hairlines to cover my big agtang.
Your big forehead. She doesn't realize that a high forehead is supposedly, at one time at least, a mark of great intelligence.
Yeah, when I was a kid, if somebody, I think when I was a kid, somebody teasing me, dangas, dangas, dangas. In other words, big forehead, big forehead. I cried, you know. And then when I was in high school, the same group of kids, dangas, 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 and I'm very mad. And I said, it's okay if I have forehead. You got a 0 in the exam. You I can't forget that I was and I just feel guilty because I should not do that. You know, I should not underestimate them. I should not throw back. What do you call that? React.
You shouldn't react.
Yeah, because it's just. But I was just.
Does this mean you've been holding out on me, that you're less than perfect?
No, but I was.
No, no, she says fearlessly.
Yeah, but before I was, you know, but after I say that, I feel good. But then when I came home, I said to myself, no, it's not right, because it's not the right thing to do. I should just let go and just, you know, it's been that's why I got a new hairline now. Okay, we're here in our crazy advice section, right?
Is it crazy?
Yeah.
I thought it was quite...
Because some of the senders, their problem is so...
Bizarre?
What is bizarre?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah. No, more than that, like over exaggerating. Yeah, so here, sleeping talk wife. You know, so...
Say that again.
Sleeping, that's the headline. Sleeping talk wife.
Sleeping talk wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, natog yung asawa na nagstorya.
Okay.
This is from Darren. Hello Terrence and Beth, thanks for all the fun videos. I'm Darren, married to a Filipino wife for over a year now, but still in adjusting period, especially when it comes to Filipino culture. I decided to send my problem to your channel because from your previous advice, your advice and opinions and ideas makes the problem come up a solid solution. My problem is my Filipino wife sometimes talk while sleeping. Sometimes he said, I love you, but it's not my name that she mentioned. Ouch.
Yeah.
I asked her close friend about it and they told it's her ex-boyfriend, right? There are also times when she doing her sleeping talk. I asked her some questions like, what are the things that you want to say sorry to your husband? And she replied, I steal money in his wallet. I love my wife, but do you think I need to be worried? Please advise me, Darren. Did you need to be worried, darling?
Well, does he need to be? Well, he obviously is worried. So that's an unnecessary question. She's already worried. And I'm thinking that I would interpret his wanting to find out some answers because he thinks that perhaps there's an infidelity going on there. And if, as he found out, the name of this person that she's proclaiming her love to in her sleep is her ex, he's wondering, is it all starting up again? I wonder where the ex is. Is she seeing the ex in any way? I mean,
yeah.
I don't mean going out with him. I mean, does she see him passing by? I mean, maybe he works in the bank or something, and when she goes in, she sees him from afar. Who knows? Well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you're punching me, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
If this ex is now on her mind, why and how? That's what the husband has got to ask himself. Why is this coming up now?
Yeah. And then at the same time, I think you should conduct more informations about that ex if they are been contacting, or are they where's that ex located, if they're just neighbor or they passing by. Because remember, possible, when you, because this is in the mindset, possible the last person or the persons that we talk, or the persons that we see, or the persons that we think before we go to bed are the ones that coming out to your mind, coming out in our dream. Do you believe it?
No.
No?
No,
But there are
I
instances
don't
like
believe
that.
that's how it necessarily is. When you go into the sleep mode, there are a lot of different research on that says that when we go into the sleep mode, we're actually all of the people in the characters. All of the characters in every dream is you, and you are responding to situations which you either wish were so or are in fear of happening. Sometimes people who are faithful to their marriage actually have dreams where they are in fear of their own reaction if they were to see someone. So maybe it's just possible that she's dreaming of this person because she's afraid of what she would say to him if she met him, and how that would register with her thoughts of fidelity to her husband. In other words, if she met the guy and she actually did still have feelings for him, and she would be forced to be honest if they got into conversation, and she would say, "I love you," how would she then be able to face her husband if that conversation ever came up? "Oh, you saw Sydney, and what did he have to say?" "Well, we were talking, and blah, 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 and finally I said to him, 'I love you, Sydney.'" Maybe.
You follow his advice because he's intelligent and wise on that matter. But my opinion, sir, is you need to talk to your wife rather than making an assumption. Talk to your wife and said to your wife that when you sleep, I heard you mentioning a name of a person and you said, "I love you," but it's not my name. And I asked your friends and it's your ex. So tell me, what is the connections for you and that person? Is still he existing? Because if he's existing, if that person is existing, then you need to choose. Because I don't want to be with you when your heart is not with me. Right? And your heart and mind is not with me. I don't want to be the second choice, and I don't want to be that you just settled for me.
Honey,
right?
that's preempting a situation that need not be, and placing the wife in a very difficult position there. Why doesn't he, if he's going to talk to the wife, why don't they have general conversations about the dream state? Honey, what do you think about dreams? Why doesn't he bring up that song by Crystal Gale, I think her name was, a long time ago, but you can get it on. You could get it on YouTube, and you could have Crystal Gale singing "Torn Between Two Lovers," or another one where she sang "You've Been Talking in Your Sleep."
Because
doing exactly what your wife is doing.
Because there are instances like that people who are in half sleep are the one who telling the truth, right? Do you believe it?
Well, telling the truth, but telling what kind of truth? Is she telling a truth in which something actually happened, where she is replaying what happened recently since her marriage, and where she said, "I love you"?
Yeah, but sometimes also that kind of sleeping walk is not really true.
Well,
in other words, it depends on the what's really in the mind of the person when she's awake or when he's awake, right? You got me?
Yes.
So that's why for me, you listen to his advice, but for me, you need to talk to your wife. You need to talk to your wife and tell about your concern, and and about the money in the wallet. I think it's normal. Sometimes it's normal, right?
to steal money from.
But it should not be the one.
Is this a confession?
No, it's not. Sometimes, for example, she wants to buy bread and you're sleeping. Then she get 20 pesos on your wallet, you know? Yeah, like that. So it's just a wife, but as long as it's not big amount, then it's no problem.
The reason.
But it's important is trust and what do you call that? Honesty.
Well, that's what's been.
Yeah.
That's what's in danger of being lost right now.
Yeah.
And the reason that he's mentioning, I feel, the reason that he's mentioning that he questioned her about something like, is there anything you want to tell your husband? And then she said, I stole money from his wallet. If she was in deep sleep even and he spoke to her, she probably would still identify his voice as him, and she would speak to him in the first person, not saying about him as if he wasn't there. Well, I stole money from his pocket. Right. So what he's, I think, implying is that if he spoke to her and she confessed something that was true, then her actually having been heard saying, I love you, Harry, or Sydney, or whatever the man's name is, and then he asks a best friend who was Harry or Sydney, and they say, oh, that's her ex. So now we've got confirmation that she tells the truth when she speaks in her sleep, and a confession of loving Sydney.
Yeah, but you never know. Maybe there's an additional on that sleeping talk. For example, maybe in the dreams of the wife is herself, the ex, and then the ex. For example, the ex in the dream asked her, "You love me," and then the wife answered to her ex and says, "I love you." But then I love more, but now I already move on and I love my husband very much. Right? Possible.
Well, there's all kinds of scenarios. She could be reliving something that was in the past.
Yeah, so
in which case saying I love you, Sydney, would be totally okay, because she's living in the past and she's speaking as her feelings were in the past. It gets very complicated when it gets into the dream state, because people put great store by their dreams. Mm-hmm. Didn't you have a dream the other night and it worried you?
Yeah.
We don't have to go into it, but you were concerned. And then she talks to me about it almost as if it were true. And I said, well, it doesn't have to be true, or it's a truth in a different way. So the reasons behind her saying I love you can be many.
Yeah, can be many ways. Because you never know that dreams, that in her dreams there's still a long process, but that's the only one that you hear, because that's the only one that she mentioned. So it's the most important is you need to talk to your wife, communicate to your wife, and the communication should always be in the relationship, and because there are a lot doing that, talking with during sleep, especially if you're just going to sleep, right? I did that to Terence, I did that to Terence, and she started snoring, she started snoring, and I said to Terence, I love you, Han, and then she said, I love you, Han. She didn't finish the word honey. And then I said, who is your first love? And then she wake up and she said, my question to you,
and then you said what?
And because I know that she's already, and I said, no, my answer, the one that I asked her is, who's the person that you love? Who do you love most? And then she wake up and she said, you're Wally. Because I thought she's already, because I said, who is the one that you love?
Which supports the idea that even though this lady is in
so
a deep sleep, she would still recognize the voice of her husband and either speak to him or in some other way speak about.
Or maybe he's just making fun to you, sir, But when it comes to I love you to that other guy, you need to talk, because you don't want you don't want that the relationship is full of worries, full of fears what's happened tomorrow.
Well, look what you did. What was your first action? Your first action was not to wake your wife up and say, "Who the hell is Sydney?" It was to go to her best friend and say, "Who is Sydney?" Right? At which point you learned that it was her ex. If you've been married for, what was it, a year?
Over a year.
Over a year. It's not a recent ex, is it? It's at least over a year, and you would suppose even greater than that. So why don't you talk to your wife generally on the subject of talking in one's sleep?
Yeah.
And say, and ask, do you believe that you speak the truth when you are talking in your sleep? And try to get what her viewpoint is, and then maybe you'll think differently about it. What does she think about dreams? What do her dreams? Are her dreams all in the present, or are they about the past? And if they're about the past, that certainly waters down
All
the idea that she is saying, "I love you, Sydney."
See?
Cat. She
says now, it's 10 o'clock now. It's 10 o'clock now.
Yeah.
You need to sleep now because I'm gonna sleep.
Come on.
Because this cat never sleep if we didn't go up. You know? If we go up, she's following us.
So anyway,
again,
what's the advice? What's the advice?
my advice to you, sir,
We've
is
discussed it, but we haven't.
my
given
advice,
any
you know, my advice is talk to your wife. Talk to your wife to clear these things and to stop your worries, your fears of what's the truth between that sleeping talk. You know, because sometimes sleeping talk is just nothing. You know, it's just dreams that is passing by, or moments that is already been gone. You know, because sometimes with even ourselves, you know, when you sleep, you suddenly open your mouth and you talk something, right? And then you wake up.
You wake yourself up.
Yeah, you wake yourself up. So the important is don't be panic right away, or don't get divorced right away, don't get annulled right away. Talk to your wife, you know, because it's just over a year. You never know that the ex they've been together for 3 years or 2 years, and then there's already a longer relationship, but it didn't work. But still, your wife still value that as a friendship, as a memories, you know. But only memories, because you now is the present. You know, don't worry about the past. You know, what you worried now is today and tomorrow, because your wife is choosing you. But all you need to do is talk to your wife about the situations, about the issues, to clear up your things, to clear up your mind, at the same time to give you a guarantee, to make you assured that that kind of walking sleep talk is just nothing, not big deal.
Well, don't assume. First of all, I would say don't assume that just because someone is split up with another person doesn't mean that they stopped loving that person. And even though there is a break which makes it impossible for them to be with that person, in a way they have not stopped loving them. And sometimes, as we talked about in one other case a little while ago, where the man couldn't get over the death of his wife. His wife had died, and he still loved her. And it would be strange or stupid in a way to expect that he would stop professing a love for that woman just because she was dead. Whether he was in there kissing her photograph is another thing. But you know, that he still had deep feelings for her is totally okay in my book.
Yeah, because
for this man.
Yeah, because there are types of loves, you know. There's a puppy love, you know. What do you call that? First love, you know.
Well, there's hopeless. There's hopeless love as well. I mean,
hopeless romantic love.
She may have loved that man to distraction, and he quit on her, right? So if he dumped her, she may well still love him, but the fact that he dumped her, and we've talked about this before, if someone really doesn't love you, doesn't matter how much you love them, you can't love them enough to make them love you.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Because sometimes love cannot, there are people says that love can be learned, love can be learned, right? But if the persons don't try their best to love that persons, it's useless, because you should have convictions in your heart to love that person, right? So it's
Yes.
important that it's important in the relationship whether that persons is not yet totally love, right? But if you've tried yourselves to love that persons, your aim is to love that person's back as because he loves him or she loves you, then that's another thing,
That's why all of these discussions on love, whether someone loves you, whether you love them, or how deep do you love them, and how... Just think of all the songs. I mean, almost every song that's ever been written is something to do with love. I just said it depends how deep you love. What about the Bee Gees? How deep is your love? And
How
what about
deep is
what
your
about
love?
Bonnie Raitt? She
How
said, "I can't make you love me if you won't."
Yeah, and there's also too much love will kill you. Too much love will kill you if it's changes your mind.
Is that right? I never heard
Yeah,
that
there
one.
is. Too much love will show you.
Love is-
changes your mind.
Love is hard. Loving you hurts the most. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, but in the Bible, love is patient. Love is kind. It's a lot of kinds of love. It's in 1 Corinthians. Right?
I think it is, yes.
Yeah.
I think it is. Didn't
Okay.
we had that. We should know that because we had that.
Yeah.
We had that read out at our wedding, didn't we?
Yeah, so that's
when
what
we got married.
Yeah, and that kind of love is what we're looking for. Is what we're looking. And that kind of love is what everyone needs. Because all we need in this world is love.
All you need is love. There's another.
All you need is
there's
love.
another one.